Next up, we have The Emperor Emerges from Under the Veil, Safi'jiiva from the Monster Hunter World Iceborne Extra Tracks. Once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician and composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what is happening here, musically. So, if you like the sound of that, make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member, one of them paid subscriptions, all that good stuff. Support this channel as much as you want, but not at your own expense. Two disclaimers. Number one, this is my first time hearing this track ever, or at least listening to it in detail. So I will be pausing a lot, and I will be talking a lot, as I will be explaining things and pointing things out as I hear them. So there's no point in you complaining down in the comments that I'm talking too much or pausing too much. I'm telling you right now, that's what I'm going to be doing. And number two, this is recorded live on stream on a single take. So I will stumble upon my words. Whatever happens. With that being said, let's do this. Safi'jiiva. Let's go. We are 7 seconds in, and we have so many elements going on. This is an orchestral piece, and it sounds like we have a full orchestra. So we start with double basses, and I think a trombone doubling with them. Then we had some percussion, I think a snare, cymbals, and a harp doing our first couple of thing, and it's insane. So let's go through the concept or the structure of an orchestra. Because we're talking orchestral music, and orchestral music means we need to understand the structure of the orchestra and what instruments comprise it. So when it comes to an orchestra, you're going to have two main parts of the orchestra: the string orchestra plus everyone else. So the string orchestra is comprised, let's say we have here the podium, and we have here the conductor. Here's his little stand where he holds the sheet music. You have to be a certain level of insane to be able to conduct an orchestra, because that means you know every single beat, every single note of every second of the piece that you're in. So it's a very difficult job, is what I'm saying. So we have sections in an orchestra. We start with the string orchestra, which is the vast majority of the people in the orchestra. We're going to start with two sections of violins, which are labeled as violin 1 and violin 2. Violin number 1, violin number 2. In a full orchestra, this is usually going to be around 12 people each. So 12 first violins, 12 second violins. Then you're going to have violas. Usually 10, then you're going to have cellos. Usually 8, and then behind them you're going to have the double basses, usually 6 to 8. This is what is known as a string orchestra, which is anywhere between 75 to 80% of the players in an orchestra. After that, we have our woodwind section. The woodwind section sits here in the center. You're going to have usually two flutes. So flute number 1, flute number 2. You're going to have two oboes, which are going to sit right here. Oboe number 1, oboe number 2. You're then going to have clarinets, two of them. Clarinet number 1, clarinet number 2, and then you're going to have bassoons, two of them. Bassoon number 1 and bassoon number 2. Then you have the gray area of instruments, which is the French horns. For those of you who haven't seen it, a French horn, I can type, I promise. A French horn is this beautiful instrument over here. It's a very unique one. It's a very, very unique instrument due to its very unique curvature and the fact that the bell, unlike other brass instruments, is not pointing forward. And the way of holding it usually involves you sticking your hand into the bell. Not the most comfortable of instruments to play, but it sounds beautiful, and unlike other brass instruments such as the trumpet or the trombone or the tuba, you can actually play these pretty quietly. So usually in an orchestra, you're going to have 4 of them. The arrangement for them makes very little sense, but this is what you get. Radek, welcome today. How you doing? So we have French horn number 1 and French horn number 3. Then French horn number 2 and French horn number 4. This is how they're usually seated. Then in the back, so this area over here is going to be your woodwind section. This bit down here, the string orchestra, then you're going to have the brass section, which is going to be usually 2 trumpets. Trumpet 1 and trumpet 2. Then you're going to have 2 trombones. So trombone 1, trombone 2, and then usually 1 tuba. Just the tuba. Then you're going to have the percussion section. Would an orchestra have a sousaphone? They can. If the composer decides to have a sousaphone, you can have it there. You can have almost any instrument in the orchestra. This is usually for the standard full orchestra that we get. Then we have the percussion section, which is going to be mainly 2 parts. Part number 1 is going to be the timpani. Timpani, which is an incredible instrument. The timpani is these massive drums. They are the only pitched drums that are there, and they usually help keep the bass line of the orchestra. And then the percussion, the rest of the percussion, that's where you're going to have your cymbals, that's where you're going to have your marimbas, your xylophones. Clearbones, welcome today. How you doing? Xylophones, maracas, anything you want can go into percussion as long as it's percussive. If you can hit it, and it makes a sound, it technically counts as a percussion. And then you can have harps. Usually they are back here. Usually there's either 1 or 2 harps. There's usually 2 in a full orchestra where you're going to have harps, and then you can have like a piano or something. And this whole thing for a full-sized orchestra could be about 100 people. You could be at about 100 people depending on how big your string orchestra is. So it's a lot of people. And right now we had the double cellos. For the start, we had the double cellos and the tuba playing a bass line at the start, then followed by a harp run and some of the percussion doing the things. Let's see where this goes. Okay, and then we bring up the string orchestra giving us our motif, the melody, the seed, the essence from which everything else comes from. We are having the percussion giving us a little bit of rhythm, while the orchestra is giving us, while the string section is giving us this very, very beautiful melody, and then we are having the flutes and the trumpets giving us adornments around the rest of the melody. So let me... There we go. Let's see how this goes. Okay, we have the string orchestra divided in 2 main sections. We have one, probably the first violins, giving us the actual melody, and then we have the other violins, probably the second violins and the violas, giving us those pam-pam, 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 that rhythmic section, which is usually how these go. Who's Funny Fox other than Cool AF? What are you asking me for? So my wife is a percussion. Technically speaking, she can be, but valid user, that can be interpreted in so many horrible ways. So let's leave it at that. So let's see. So yes, usually when it comes to orchestral music, the first violins are going to be carrying the melody, and then the rest of the string orchestra is going to be carrying the rhythm or the accompaniment of it. I just drank water. What else do you want? So let's see. Let's see. Bit of silence. That was quick. And now we bring in a chorus. We have the percussion giving us a little bit of beat. We bring back the idea of the violins giving us that initial melody, and the violins are now being doubled by the chorus. So on top of this, we have a chorus. And usually for an orchestra, by the way, this section is going to be the brass section. Then here you're going to have the percussion, and then you're going to have the harps, pianos, or whatever else, the etceteras. And then behind here, you are going to have your chorus or your vocals here in the back. So memorize this chart. Is going to be memorize the chart is going to be on the test. So when it comes to vocal music, there's ranges for people. Dominion, welcome today. How you doing? And Fission, welcome today. So we have 4 main ranges for vocals. We have, and they are summarized in SATB: soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. Right now, I think we're only using the sopranos, or maybe the altos and the tenors. So soprano and alto, those are the vocal ranges for women. Tenor and bass, those are the vocal ranges for men. Soprano is the highest register there is of the overwhelming majority of people. Alto is the lower register of women. Tenor is the higher register of men, which is still lower than alto. And bass is the lower register of men. These 4 encompass about 90% of the world's population. After that, you have a couple of in-between ones, the mezzo-soprano and the baritone. We have the baritone. So mezzo-soprano is going to, and these two are very, very special because it's either going to be that the mezzo-sopranos have a range in between the soprano and alto, or have both the range of a soprano and an alto. Same with the baritone. Baritone is going to either have a middle range between tenor and bass, or the range of both the tenor and the bass. For example, in my case, I'm a baritone, and I have almost the full range of tenor and bass. I can go almost all the way up, almost all the way down, almost all the way up to tenor, all the way down to bass. I have pretty much almost the full range. And then after these 6, like these 6 go from 90 to 95% of the population to 99.99% of the population. Like these 6 are the overwhelming majority of the world's population. After that, you're going to have like contratenors, you're going to have like the basso profondo, you're going to have a lot of other people with way different ranges like that go outside of these standards, but these are the standards for again, about 99.99% of the population. Like, if you meet a basso profondo, which is basso profondo, which means deep bass, it's somebody who has a range lower than a regular bass, you've met a 1 in a million kind of person, or even more, like probably 1 in like... A basso profondo is probably somewhere around 1 in 50 to 1 in 100 million. Like anywhere between 1 in 50 million, 1 in 100 million. They are extremely rare. Same with the contratenors, same with the soprano tenatura. All of these other ranges we have extremely rare. Either way, right now we are having what I think could be the sopranos and the altos singing, doubling the violins. Hayes, welcome today. How you doing? So the violins are being doubled. Doubling just means there's more than one instrument playing the same thing. Let's see where this goes. And now we have the brass coming in exactly how the brass is supposed to come in. So brass instruments, trumpets, trombones, tubas, one of the downsides of them is that they are extremely loud. Like right now, you heard them being very punctuous, bum, 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 that kind of thing. That's like maybe half of their power. Like maybe half of how loud they can really get. These instruments can get extremely loud, but that gives them the option of being this epic, creating these responses to the calls of everything else, and just makes everything a lot more epic. The brass is a very, very, very risky section to use, but when you know how to use them right, it's just mwah. Let's see where this goes. We repeat the vocal line. There's the brass doing the response. We hold the note. And I like this. So we are having these moments where the vocals are holding where they're doing a line, and then they hold the note while something else does a response. So we're having a call and response as it sounds. Right now, the vocals are doing the call, and whatever other instrument does the response. It's kind of like a musical conversation, right? And they are engaging in counterpoint in what I would like to call similar motion. So the concept of counterpoint is the study of melodies, how they interact with each other, how they relate to one another. Usually it's when you pit more than one melody against one another and whether or not they work together. And counterpoint is measured in motion. And there are three types of motion: similar, parallel, and contrary. So I wrote these in the wrong order, so we're going to go from bottom to top. So contrary motion is when you have two musical lines going in the opposite direction. One is going up, the other one is going down. Parallel means you have two and they're both going the exact same direction. And right now we are having a call and response using similar motion plus species counterpoint, technically speaking. So the concept of similar motion is that you're going to have both instruments roughly following the same direction, but there are going to be changes in them, kind of thing. Like it's roughly the same direction, but they're not doing the exact same thing. And then we are engaging in species counterpoint. So species counterpoint is basically how many notes per notes. For me, it feels like a chaotic boss, or it's carry on. A chaotic rise feel kind of, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, this feels like a very overpowering, like the vibe of this track so far has been the very overpowering, like you're facing some extremely unknown creature that is going to overwhelm you. So it gives us that. So back to species counterpoint, we have the concept of how many notes per note. So species 1 is for every note that instrument 1 plays, or line 1 plays, line 2 plays 1 note. Species 2, for every one that line 1 plays, line 2 plays 2. 3 to 1, 4 to 1, so on and so forth. So what we're doing right now is we are having the vocal lines engaging in species counterpoint, where they do their line and then they hold it, and then the other one engages in species while it's being held. And it's a very, very beautiful motion that we are getting. It's a really, really cool melody, and it gives it this piece the sense of constant continuity, constant and uninterrupted pace, which makes it even more epic. Let's see where it goes. There we go. And there's the violins. Now we have the brass coming in. Now we have the brass doing the line first. All right, let's see. So yeah, you can hear how the percussion is giving us this really intense, almost tribal beat. We are having the melodic lines, these different lines bouncing around between the sections. And right now we are seeing 3 main sections playing the melody: the chorus, the violins, and the brass. Those are the 3 valid user, then go back to Twitch. So now we're having these 3 lines, and something I'm finding interesting here is that it's not pure repetition, that we're getting the vocal line, repeating the line again, and then doing the same thing afterwards. The next time the melody repeats, it's being repeated on a different instrument, giving us a different, fresh combination of this whole thing, while keeping the material that we're using. Really, really cool stuff. Let's see where it goes. We bring in, now we're getting the full chorus. There's the melody again, with a crescendo. Ooh. Okay, so now they are engaging in crescendos. So crescendo is exactly what is happening over here. Is what it's called when you get louder gradually over a certain period of time. So right now you can hear it, right? Like they're singing the melody, and then you can hear their voices getting louder. That is what a crescendo is. The opposite of crescendo is diminuendo or decrescendo, depending on which school of terminology you're using. So yeah, diminuendo, decrescendo just means it gets quieter. Why the Violin's in kick, because he chose to be on kick. So there you go. What's a cue bash? What we're doing right now. So I will explain again what we're doing with the cue bash afterwards, because right now I'm locked in. Let's lock in and see where it goes. There's the Interesting. So one of the sections that is extremely effective at using crescendo is the brass section, the trumpets, the trombones, the tuba. And they didn't do it. They did not use the crescendo over here, but instead allowed the chorus to bring back the crescendo. This is very fascinating. Let's see where it goes. Now there's a crescendo. There you go. So you remember at the very start when I said that the first violins were holding the melody while the second violins and everybody else was holding this accompaniment, pa-bang, 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 pa-bang. Turns out it was foreshadowing for this. While it was a secondary line closer to the start, now it's the focal point, giving us this really, really stinging, very staccato rhythm that we have right now. So staccato is what we're seeing right now. I mean, this could also be maybe spiccato, but staccato is short bursts of music. And that's what we're saying. Pop, 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 pop. Spiccato is... it's the same, but sharper than that. It's more of a feeling kind of thing. The opposite of a staccato is legato. Legato just means to let the note play in its entirety. So really, really cool. Really cool. Very epic. Let's see where it goes. Kind of like heartbeat rhythm? A little bit, yeah. Like sped up heartbeats, yeah. Oh, very beautiful moment. Transition. We come back to the melody being played by the vocals, by the chorus and the violins, with the call and response with the brass. We repeat. Very beautiful melody. Very beautiful melody. Very powerful. Ooh, and we had a very brief moment of dissonance in the chorus over there on those vocals, giving us this moment of instability before everything else went back to order. Very subtle, very, very subtle over there, but it was really cool. Let's see where it goes. Extended version of that motif, or the variation. Still the call and responses. We're bringing back the concept of the call and response with the species counterpoint, with a slightly different melody. And we're just building upwards. Back we go to the staccato. The best thing about boss themes is that it always sounds pretty sick when in battle, always gives a vibe of an epic battle theme. And that is something that is fairly unique to orchestral music, how epic it can be. However, your point right there is very crucial. when it comes to scoring, you need to be able to represent what it is that you are trying to represent here. Because unlike visual art, because in visual art, yes, we have this really cool artwork of, yeah, we have the hunters plus Safi'jiiva. Okay, how do you portray that in music? Because let's say let's put a simpler concept, right? Tell a filmmaker to portray a tree. Tell a photographer to show you a tree in their medium. Tell an author to show you a tree. Like, go to each individual type of art and tell them, show me a tree. Most of the other artists, even in written word, they are going to be able to very effectively show you a tree. Like, even in written word, you're going to be able to describe a tree in as much detail as you want. How do you do that in music, especially if you're using instrumental music with, like, even with lyrics, right? With lyrics that are in, like, usually for these kinds of things, like in Latin, that kind of stuff. It's all about texture, it's all about instrumentation, orchestration, and it's all about motifs. It's all about motifs. That's the album cover. No, it's Safi'jiiva. Okay, so this is the album cover. Still, my point here is the portrayal. So for these kind of things, you use tree noises for music. You can do that, but the problem is, trees are silent. They only make noise when you bring them down, or when the wind goes against them. So yes, we are now bringing this whole portrayal, and usually especially for Japanese studios, the concept of a boss fight is always going to be like this big orchestral choral music. It's going to be because, Monster Hunter has this, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro has this, most of these, like, it's going to be either orchestral or they're going to put some sort of heavy metal on top of it. They're going to have all of these elements, and it is precisely because the orchestra, like, let me show you a picture of an orchestra, right? So, orchestra. An orchestra, like, look at this. Look at this many people playing a single piece of music. Every single one of these people has spent their entire lives training to play music in unison with 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 200 other people in perfect unison. The scale for that is insane, and it shows whenever you hear it. It shows whenever you hear it. Jack, welcome today. How you doing? So, it is you usually use orchestral music to convey scale. Because it's one thing to have, like, your electronic music with with a bunch of layers, and you give a certain amount of depth, or metal where you arrange the guitars in a certain way. It's not going to beat the sound of 100 people playing the same piece in their own instruments. So it's impressive when only one person do music like that on the computer. Composers have always had that sense, right? Like, the whole music is somehow in their noggin, and they're able to put it there. In my opinion, the more impressive job is an orchestral conductor. Because while a composer, especially nowadays that we have computers, thankfully that gives us the opportunity to be able to portray our music however we want. A conductor's job is to arrange whatever ensemble you have and portray them and execute the vision of a composer, somebody else's music, according to the composer's will. And doing that while hurting and just arranging 50, 60, 100 people at the same time, while knowing where each and every single one of these individuals is playing, when they are playing, when they should start, all of this stuff. Kurt, how you doing? Welcome today. It gets better. Yes, it gets better. And yeah, like, I took a couple of conducting classes. It is insanely difficult. It's insanely difficult because you are a human metronome. And you have to know, especially because I got to see a couple of rehearsals at the Boston Symphony Orchestra, and the conductor, Andres Nelson's, absolutely one of the most incredible conductors I've ever seen in my life. And he was doing some sort of rehearsal. I don't remember the piece they were rehearsing, but he managed to stop. And he was conducting a full orchestra, the size of this one. It was about 100 people in the orchestra. And he was like, first violin, number 6, you're a little bit off key. We need to start this again. And they were in the middle of this. Like, he was hearing well over 100 people. And he was able to pinpoint. And he just went around the orchestra like violin, first violin, number 6, you're off key over here. Can we fix that? Second oboe. Can we try playing this a little bit differently like this? Trombone, can we just try this over here in this measure? And like the guy just knew every single beat of every single person in the entire orchestra. So it is that culmination, that sum of its parts of what every single person is doing. You need to be a certain brand of insane to be able to conduct an orchestra. I have yet to meet a single conductor of an orchestra that is of sound mind. Like, every single one of them is going to be some sort of esoteric, obnoxious character. And yes, Miss Taylor, Gabi, if you ever watch this, I love y'all. You're great, but oh my god, y'all are insane. So yeah, no, these are insanely difficult, and it's one of those things that in classical music, you mess up once, you're done. You mess up once, you're done. So it is the epitome of the highest echelons of performance that you can possibly conceive. So that is another thing when it comes to the music, and it is reflected in the orchestra and in orchestral music. So not only are you getting the scale of everything, not only are you getting this insanely large ensemble, but you're also getting the highest levels of performance that you can possibly get in humanity. So yeah, really, really, really insane. Let's see where this goes. Back to the staccatos. And we bring in the harps again. Harps are very useful in this kind of thing when you use them as like a transitionary force. And you just heard, right, how we were just falling, like we've been building tension up, and now we've been bringing it down. Because once again, when you're making music, you're doing one of two things. You are building tension, or you are resolving that tension. That point in between, we are going to call a cadence. So the challenge that this staccato section tends to have is that it's going upwards and upwards and upwards, and it's going to create more and more and more tension. So a good way that the composer used right now to alleviate that was to resolve that using the harp and just letting the rest of the melodies just completely collapse, giving us a very nice reset. Let's see where this goes. Back to the species motif. Yeah, pretty much a recapitulation of all we heard before. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Okay, so we remove the drums. We remove the percussions for this. We remove the lower end, so off the ramp we go. Off the ramp is a colloquial term that I use. Colloquial means that there is no official academic term for it, or at least not that I'm using for the purposes of simplicity and explaining, right? And in this, and usually off the ramp is what I mean when you have a transitionary section or a transitionary point. Usually it can be like a beat, 2 beats, or an entire section that makes your listener feel up in the air, suspended, going off a ramp, mercy of inertia, waiting to see where you land. How do you do that? Remove the drums, maybe the bass as well, which is precisely what has happened here. However, we still have the tubas, we still have the trombones, we still have the cellos, We just removed the lower end of the bass, and that alone, and the percussion, and that alone is giving us this feeling of up in the air. Really, really good. And of course, now we are bringing the brass with an insanely incredible arrangement. Let's see where it goes. Are you guys gonna listen to the music? Monchichilo? Yes. Ooh. Yeah, we're just letting the brass doing the thing. We're doing the call and response. The species call and response without the chorus. Oh, we had a quick run of one of the flutes. So this whole section was repeating the call and response of the species counterpoint, but without the chorus and without the bass and the percussion. And even then, it felt so unbelievably different. So unbelievably different. The importance of your rhythm section can never be understated. I'm bringing it up. First time of the day, boys! So, if you ever want to see how unbelievably important, how much connotation and how much it affects your percussions and your rhythm section can affect your music, if you want, in my opinion, the best example of it, listen to the intro of The Mirror by Dream Theater. Mirror by Dream Theater. First minute, the guitar, John Petrucci, is doing John 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 John. 1 minute straight. Does not stop, does not deviate. But the other instruments around him do. And oh my god. Is it incredible. Is it incredible. Remind me after the video to show you guys, because I'm not going to show it here, because then they're going to copyright me. Alright, let's see where this goes. There we go, staccato. We bring in the chorus, and that last hit, we bring this back down. Ooh. So yeah, we use that momentum of being off the ramp for an entire 2 sections. We bring back the chorus, and just bringing it back to the way it's been this whole time feels like a climax. Because it was missing for an entire section. Now we're in the climax of the piece. Usually the climax is going to be within the last 1 to 2 minutes of your piece, and you're going to want to revisit as much of the material as you've done. Like so. Let's see where this goes. Oh, the French horns finally got a bit of a moment there. Really, really cool. That second part, second variation of it. Yeah, it's pretty much repetition. Let's see. Really, really cool version of this. Accelerating a little bit with the triplets. How are you gonna end this though? Because we bring this up and staccato again. Variation of it, giving us a lot more. How are you gonna end this? And you fade it out. And you fade it out. You didn't finish your music. You did not finish your music. Okay. So it loops. Yeah, it loops, but Monster Hunter Iceborne, like, there is no excuse to fade out your music after 1997. Like, there is no excuse to... No, maybe not 1997, 2002. There is no... After the year 2000, there is no excuse to fade out your music. This could have ended with one last hit. If it loops, you can select the software and tell it loop from here to here. That's it. It's 2 kilobits of RAM. It's like 2 kilobytes of RAM that it takes from the music software. It's not going to be much. It's a command of when it reaches here, start playing from here, and that's it. I find fade outs to be lazy in the current day. We are no longer constrained by the limitations of technology. We no longer have space issues. We no longer have this. It's just this video. Don't blame Mr. Hunter. Well, this is what we got here. And it could be the video. It could be that it doesn't fade out. Either way, I would say like this could just end with one last hit. Boom, and that's it. So maybe it does, because for a live performance, I assure you that's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. So I am gonna give you the benefit of the doubt here that this video is not from the official thing, because this is the video that you gave me, or the video that got requested. So, yeah, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt there. Maybe the actual recording has an ending, but for some reason, this one just kept looping. I mean, the song, the piece itself looped a lot. There was a lot of repetition. We had a break over here with the going off the ramp. But, yeah, it's the video that the bot decided. That is true. That is true. That is very true. We need to figure out something for YouTube then. So yeah, there you go. Still, it was a really, really good composition, a really insanely good use of brass. So there you go, there you go. That was The Emperor Emerges from Under the Veil, Safi'jiiva, from the Monster Hunter World Iceborne Extra Tracks. Once again, everybody, this has been a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I'm a professionally trained musician, a composer. My objective here has been to explain things in a way so that you don't have to be one to understand what has happened here musically. So, if you're watching this on the YouTube video archive thing, thank you for watching. Make sure you're following the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever term you want to use. Like the video, share the video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, become a member, one of them paid subscriptions, all that good stuff. You got me there. If you want to listen to this without me interrupting every 3 seconds, I will be linking it down below. I'll see if I can find the original video. If you want to request a song and you're not on the live stream, go to the Discord server, link down below. Go to the LFA requests channel and follow the instructions in the pinned messages. And if you want to catch the streams when they happen live, we aim for Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Central European Time. If you're not in Europe, don't worry. We have the Discord server and the Twitch channel. They both have this full stream schedule up to date in your local time zone, so that you don't have to worry about what time 6 p.m. is in Europe. It's just going to show it in your local time zone. And follow the gaming channel. We have a gaming channel because I'm on YouTube. Of course, I have a gaming channel. Games are Basterd. Link down below. That's where I put the recordings of the VODs of the gaming after shows if they happen. Link down below, or just search for it on YouTube. Games are Basterd. Just search for James R. Basterd, swap the J for a G, and you got it. And yeah, there you go. There you go. That was a really, really cool thing. I just really don't like fade outs. There you go. There you go. Safi'jiiva, Monster Hunter World. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. But yeah, let's move on.